Hi, I'm Mark and welcome to What's Brewing. Today we're sitting down with Auriel Campbell with Lotus Counseling and Recovery for part 2 of her interview. But before we get into it, let's roll that beautiful B-roll. Auriel, thank you so much for joining us again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just like in the last one, if people might not have caught the last episode, just kind of tell them who you are and what you do.
Sure. So my name is Auriel Campbell. I'm a licensed counselor in the Lafayette area, and I'm also one of the co-owners of Lotus Counseling and Recovery.
Awesome. Well, like I said, thank you for joining us. Main thing is with the new year starting up, there's a lot of people that always have some kind of New Year's resolution or goal or things like that. What are some things from your perspective, on like the counseling perspective, that can help people be on track to achieve those goals they set for the new year?
Sure. So oftentimes when we set goals, it's usually in areas that we have a hard time with discipline. Whether it's, oh man, I'm gonna start eating really clean, or I'm gonna stop smoking cigarettes, or I'm gonna maybe decrease my alcohol intake. And oftentimes a couple things come to my mind. I think sometimes we set too high of expectations on these goals, which then leads us to feel shame and we don't carry out with them. But also too, I think we often don't think about how were these maybe bad habits, ways that we've coped in the past. So something I've been talking about a good bit on our social media is called trauma procedural memories, which, to kind of explain it, a procedural memory is something that you've learned over and over and over again as muscle memory. So for example, walking, as a kid you fall, you stumble, but after a while you can just get up and walk without thinking. If I were to say, from now on, I want you to start walking backwards, it would take you a minute to kind of go, okay, wait a minute, I can't walk forward, I gotta walk backwards. It would be a little bit awkward. Same thing with writing. I'm left-handed. Now I've been writing left-handed for almost 29 years. If I were to start writing right-handed, it would be very difficult. So that's just a typical procedural memory. A trauma procedural memory is something that you learned whenever you were distressed. So for example, if you have frequent nightmares and you did not enjoy going to bed, you might have learned to start picking at your skin before bed. And if you have been doing this for years, if I told you, okay, go ahead and stop, that would be really difficult. It's already difficult to, like I said, start walking backwards. So how much more so with something that you learned whenever you did not feel safe? So the part of our brain that's all about regulation and keeping you safe is called the amygdala. So if I were to show it to you in a brain kind of scan to the hand, your thumb is your amygdala, and your fingers go over, and this is your prefrontal cortex. So, interesting enough, it's the new year, you're wanting to make better goals, better changes in your life. You will be accessing this part of your brain, the prefrontal cortex. That's all about logic, thinking about consequences. But let's say you have the goal, hey, I'm gonna stop eating sugar, or I'm gonna stop smoking cigarettes. Well, you learn that in a trauma procedural memory, which is all about the amygdala. And interesting enough, if this is triggered, the rest of your brain is completely deactivated. So it's almost kind of like speaking two languages. You're initiating a goal through your prefrontal cortex that, let's say, speaks French, but you learn something through the language of English. So if I started speaking French to you and you don't know French, that's not going to correlate very well. So oftentimes before even starting a goal, for me, I can say I'm naturally an emotional eater. Growing up, I had a rare disease where my adrenal glands stopped working, and so I couldn't keep down food for about 18 months. And so it is easy for me as a trauma procedural memory to eat, especially salty junk food. So if my goal is to decrease eating junk food, I first need to see, what did junk food do for me in keeping me safe, in keeping me regulated? Almost building a more gentle relationship with that, I guess, bad habit, more so than shame. And then you might start finding gentler ways to start replacing it. So for me, if it's salt, I might move from Flaming Hot Cheetos to Siete chips. Siete chips are a little bit cleaner with guacamole. Then I might move to olives, or, you know, something where it's an easier transition. If I were to say, hey, I'm going to stop eating chips and I just moved to carrots, that's not going to be hitting the same coping mechanism. And not to mention, I haven't even gone into like dopamine and endorphins and all the hormones and neurochemicals that got attached to that bad habit. So, like I said, number one, figure out, why did you originally go to that habit? What did that habit serve you in helping you survive? Even when you have that craving, figure out, what am I ultimately longing for? Is it comfort? Is it energy? Is it connection? You know, what time of day am I often wanting to go towards this thing? And then making very small, tangible actions. So maybe it's, hey, I'm gonna move to chips every other day. Now I'm gonna move to maybe having more Siete chips, then maybe moving to olives, right? Very small, tangible goals. And I think that ends up helping you in the long run get to where you're wanting to go. And
I 100% agree with you on that. In my history, I've had some addiction issues in my past. Yeah. You know, and I've gone through different things, different therapies to help me come over that. And a lot of it is setting the goals before you, and, you know, setting that step-by-step goal, not taking it and being like, all right, done, and now I'm just going to go and still do everything I used to do, but just without this. Yep. It can just shut you down.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people, like, I know I'm guilty of it in the past, just like, I'm going to lose 30 pounds by March. Watch this. This is my new year, new me. Hey, you know, it's like, and you end up failing in like week 2. Yeah. But it's good to have that kind of advice from someone, and people hear that, hey, it's okay to take it step by step. It's okay to ease into your goals. Because if you try to, let's say, I want to climb Mount Everest, so you just decide to take a trip down to Mount Everest and try to climb it, you probably are going to fail.
And you're going to injure yourself. And if it's something that you, like I said, it was something you used to cope in the past, you're going to feel even deeper shame and long for that safety blanket even more.
It's quite amazing, because I kind of just threw that question out, and you're able to answer it like that. So I want to give people a chance here, just kind of like, if they want to reach out to you, if they want to maybe try to book an appointment with either you or another member on your staff, what's the best way for them to do that? Yeah,
absolutely. So we've got a couple things you can do. I've had people reach out to us via our social media. I'm the one who runs our social media, and I try to get back to people within a day. You can email us, you can call us, and all of that is on our website, and we've got a pretty easy setup going on.
Oh, what's the URL for the website?
It's just lotuscounselingrecovery.com.
Okay.
Easy peasy, melon squeezy.
Auriel, thank you so much for joining us, but also thank you so much for everything you're doing for different people around the community and for your patients.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a joy. It's been a joy.
Well, that's going to do it for us here over at What's Brewing. If you liked what you see here, don't forget to hit that like button, crush that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell to keep up to date as videos are released. But until the next one, have a good one.